Hi, I'm Kyle Schilling of Music City Trykes, the Middle Tennessee chapter of National Ambucks. Today we're going to talk about building a 1412. And this particular tricycle has a rear steer kit, so if your trike that you're building does not have that, please just skip ahead past that point. So we're going to real quick show you the tools that I use in the video to assemble the trike. On the right you'll see the tools that come with the trike, and those can be used, but you're going to need additional ones as well. So what was used in the videos here, we start with the wrenches. We use 15, 14, 12, 10, and 8. I also used a 13mm socket, but if you've got a 13mm wrench, you can use that. For Allen wrenches, we only use the 5 and the 6, which is what actually comes on the tool that you get with the trike. I also use needle nose pliers, a tongue and groove, or channel locks as they're commonly known, a side cutter, and a Phillips screwdriver. And those are all the tools that you need. So not very many, but you can get the job done with just those tools. Okay, we're going to first go over all the components that come with the 1412 to give you an overview and to help you understand if there's something you don't quite know. So first we're going to show you the handlebar here with the post that goes into the trike, and this is the fork with the wheel that goes on the bottom side of that to match up with it. Here are all the components that attach to it to hold it there. Down here we've got tools that come with your trike, and then a steering bar that runs the length of the trike and connects the parent steer to the front wheel. We've got a steering pin to lock the mechanism in the front. We've got our pedals, of course, and then we've got our seat post, seat, and seat back, all of which may vary somewhat depending on the options that are chosen for your tricycle. Then moving to the back, in this hole here, when we take the cap off, this is where the parent steer bar will go in, and this is the basket that you can attach to the back here with a bar and several pieces of hardware. And then these components back here are for the rear steering kit and the brake that goes with it, so there's a lot of components there. And then lastly up front we've got the loading brake or parking brake. It goes on the side here, and then we have the pedal leveler rope kit that will go on at the end. We're first going to put the front fork onto the trike, and these are the components you're going to add to that. You should have 2 ball bearing rings. And one thing to note on these is you make sure that all the balls are in the ring before you start. Occasionally they will come out in the bag, and if they do, just retain those, and usually you can snap them back in with a set of pliers or just by pressing down in them, but you want to make sure that every ball is in there before you attach it. So we'll take one of those first, slide it onto the post, and the balls should be up. So the ball bearing set should be facing towards the bike. So we'll slide that over and put it in place. Next thing, we'll take the other ball bearing ring, and this time the ball should be again facing the bike, so this time they'll go down. And then we'll put the ring on here, and we'll tighten this, and it takes a little while. You're going to want to hand tighten this pretty much as far as you can hand tighten it. Maybe just a little bit of a squeeze with a crescent wrench or pliers or something. But you really don't want to over tighten this, because if you do, it's going to pinch the ball bearings together and not let it move smoothly. Stop. So I've gone ahead and tightened this down. One thing you want to make sure is look at the bottom here, and the 2 silver pieces should be very close together. If they aren't quite in there, you might just have to give it a little jostle and get it in, but you want that seat normally, and it should rotate really easily after that's done right. So I've got this hand tight now. I'm going to take the lock washer and I'm going to insert it into the post, and you'll notice that there is a cutout right here. So I want the tab on the lock washer to go into that slot. You may have to press down a little bit. And then the last piece, here I'm going to take this nut and start it by hand and get it down. And now this one I am going to use a wrench or something to get that fairly tight, not overly tightened, but just get a little snug, and that puts the fork into the bike. Next we're going to put the front handlebar and post into the front fork. So the first thing you're going to do is take this grayish silver plug out, set the post down in, and note that there's a maximum height line. So on this trike you're going to slide that down to be just below the top nut. Hold it in place to make sure it's straight. And then take your 6mm Allen wrench, tighten it down, and then give it a couple of snugs. Put the plug back in, and you're good. One final thing on the front handlebar, these levers help rotate, but you're going to want to make sure that this plate is on top of the fork, on top of the handlebars. So make sure it's tightened all the way. Take your Allen wrench and tighten these to 6mm again. Tighten these all the way down. Make sure it's tight and in place. You don't want that coming loose. Next we're going to put the loading brake, also known as the parking brake, on. It comes with the 2 bolts already assembled, so we'll take those off. And then you're going to assemble it with the handle towards the front of the bike and with the handle down away from the wheel. So when you assemble it, we're going to attach that on and then put the bolts in one at a time, and you want to just barely get these started because you can't get the second one in if you tighten the first one down much at all. And these are 5mm Allen wrench that you'll use to tighten it. So you put that in and tighten it down. Once it's all the way tightened down, the post should be snug against the frame. And that's okay. Once you've gotten those 2 tightened down, and you should alternate back and forth to get them really tight, the post will be snug to the frame, so it'll look like this. And now you can use that by pulling up on it, and it will lock the wheel in place. The other thing to notice is that this silver frame piece should be tight to the post. Sometimes it comes a little bit loose. If that's the case, you'll need to use a 10mm wrench and just tighten this inside nut a little bit. Snug it down, and it should be tight and good to go. Okay, next we're going to put the basket on. You'll notice the seat has been removed. Some folks have put that on at this point, but it just kind of gets in the way of putting everything else, so I've removed it, and it makes the video easier as well. So first you're going to put the bracket onto the trike like so. Fits from the bottom. You've got 2 bolts, one on each side, that you put a washer through from the top down into the bracket, and then a washer and a nut. And the bolt from the top is a 12mm wrench, and the nut from the bottom is a 13mm, so you can use a wrench, a socket, or an adjustable wrench and tighten that down. Then next the basket attaches, and it just slides into the bracket like so. A lot of people like to leave it just loose so you can remove it and take it with you, but they do provide optional bolts that are Phillips head and nuts to go on the back side, which are 8mm. So you can put those together and attach the basket if you'd like, or you can leave it loose. And that's how you put the basket on. Next we're going to put the pedals onto the trike. There's a right pedal and a left pedal, obviously. These are as the rider is facing, so the right pedal will go on this side. And if you look on the end of the post, on the threaded part, or on the bottom, there's usually a sticker that says right. So on this one, we'll put it in, and you have to tighten it clockwise for the right pedal, but the left pedal is opposite, so when you put it in as you view it, you need to move counterclockwise like this to tighten. So I'm going to go tighten those down. You use a 15mm wrench to tighten that all the way and make sure you get it snug. Next we'll put the pedal leveler on. It's this cable here. And to assemble that, you're going to come back to this bolt in the back. I've already loosened it up, but you can take it off from here. It's a 5mm Allen wrench. And sometimes it's easier to do actually even before you do the steering bar if your bike has that. But I've demoed it now. And you'll fit it through the pulley, the eye hook of the pulley. And then retighten it back down. And I'll tighten it after we're done. But you'll next take the cable, and we'll start on this pedal here. You'll take the free end, and on the very back here, you're going to thread it through where the sticker is and pull it all the way till it tightens like this. Feed it through the pulley. Come around to the other side. Feed it back the opposite way from the back through the hole. Pull it tight like so. And then find the best knot tire that you know and tie it up against here. Or we do send an option for this piece to thread onto here like so, pull it up and then crimp it down. The only downside of doing that is, again, if you have to take this back off or you need to retighten it, then getting that piece uncrimped, say from pliers, is kind of a real bear to do. So you can either tie it or you can crimp this, either way, but get it tight, and then that keeps the pedals level. So next we'll attach the seat with the seat post and the simple seat back as shown here. The easiest way to do it, if you've already attached the parent steer bar, is to put the seat back into the post. So the post will go like this, angled down, and the seat back will go like this. So you'll insert it in the back here, and you'll probably have it stop like that. That's because this knob needs to be loosened, and then it will fall into place. You get it all the way in so that you can assemble it easy. Next step is to put it into the seat post here. So I'll just lay it in there. If you don't have enough room between the bar, move your seat post all the way forward on the bike, and then you'll have enough room to insert this. So next step, I'm going to loosen this a little bit, pull towards the camera in this case, and then I can get it into a slot and tighten it back down. The last step to assembling this is to take your seat, and there are two nuts on the outside. You'll take a 14mm wrench and just loosen it slightly. That should give enough play for you to get the seat down over the top, get the angle. You can pitch it up, pitch it down. That's what the therapist may recommend. Get it settled, make sure it's straight, and then take your 14 and just tighten from both sides. You want to do both sides so that it's even. And you're done with the seat. Last piece we'll assemble is the steering pin, and this is the pin that you can put into here and give no play on the steering. And that's the upper position, or you can put it in the down position and get a 20-degree left and right, or you can of course leave it out and get full motion on that. So we do provide a handy piece of Velcro to attach to the bike to hang on to that steering pin. You can put it in several different places. We typically put it right here in the front, just to keep the steering pin real close to where it's used. So I double that over, get it locked down, and put it on there. If you do keep the wrench and hang on to it, this also can provide a nice place to put the wrench along with the steering pin.